Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to use the time and chronograph functions on the Rolex Daytona. Unlike the Submariner, GMT, or Skydweller Rolex watches, the Daytona is relatively simple. It just has the time and then the chronograph function. It doesn't have a date. It doesn't have an annual calendar or a GMT wheel or GMT function or anything like that. Therefore, setting the time is really simple because you don't have to worry about what I talked about in the other Submariner and Skydweller videos, is making sure that the time is in the correct AM or PM position, or AM or PM 12-hour window, meaning that you have to set the watch a certain way for the date to click over properly at midnight rather than noon. So because we don't have a date on this watch, it's pretty easy to use. So I'll get into that shortly. First, I want to go over the layout of the dial and kind of understanding what each of the hands do and then what each of the subdials do. So unlike pretty much all the other Rolex watches, the big second hand that you can see that's at 12 o'clock now runs the chronograph, or that is the chronograph hand. That is not the regular running second hand, which confuses a lot of people when they get their watch. They get it and they see that it's not running and they assume that it's broken or something. They're winding it and they keep seeing that it's not running. But really the second hand on this watch is this bottom subdial. So the three subdials, this is the minute of the chronograph, this is the hour of the chronograph, and this is the seconds of the actual time function of the watch. So that's the first thing to note, is when you're setting the time and date and you click it to go, this big hand isn't going to go. You have to use the chronograph for that. So let's get into winding and then setting the time on this watch. Unscrew the crown lefty-loosey, just like any other Rolex watch. And this watch is 100-meter water resistant. That's why these pushers are screw-down pushers. So first position is going to be winding. Give it a good 30 to 40 winds to get it going. If the watch is dead, I suggest doing it at least 30 to 40 times, because if you only do it 20 times, or you just do it until it starts running, the power reserve is going to be pretty low. And if you're not like shaking the watch or running or moving a lot, the watch will die in only a few hours. I've had that happen where I thought, I wound the watch and then it stopped and I'm like, oh shit, it's broken. But really unless you're moving a lot, it takes a lot of energy to move that rotor in the watch to keep it going. So give it 30 to 40 winds, and so it can get the full 72-hour power reserve when you wind it for the first time. Next, you're going to pull out the crown. One more click. Sometimes it might take a little bit of effort. And this will be when you can set the time. So position 2 is where you can move the minute and hour hand. Again, since there's no date, basically whatever time it is, just set it to that slot. So it's 11:12 right now. We'll go up to 11, pass it to 12. And again, because there's no date, if let's say your watch is set here and it's 11:12, you can just go backwards. Doesn't really matter. So it's pretty simple. Go ahead and click in the crown and then push and screw, and you can feel it tightening down to the case. So that's the time function. Again, very simple, a lot more simple than other Rolex watches. Next is going to be the chronograph. So the chronograph buttons are these two screw down pushers. Top one is start and stop. Bottom one is reset. So go ahead and unscrew the top to start it. Click it, and it will start running. Click it again to stop, and this is a pretty firm button, so you have to press it pretty hard. And then press it again, it'll go again, and then you can stop. And you can do that as many times, it doesn't affect anything else. And again, the minute hand here is what counts the minutes for the chronograph, and this is the chronograph hours. So to reset the chronograph, unscrew the bottom one, push that in, and you're back at the top. And that's pretty much it. Again, the watch is pretty simple. There's not a lot of practical uses for the chronograph. Maybe if you're cooking food or, you're timing, it's meant for timing laps for cars, or timing, the 1 mile or quarter mile drag or whatever the original story was at Daytona Beach. But I rarely use the chronograph on the Daytona. It's mainly just a cool feature, and it gives it this cool layout because of the functionality needed on the dial. But overall, it's a great watch. I love the Daytona. It's probably the best Rolex model out there, and it's definitely the most popular. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible.